Alright, how's it going? I recently made a series of videos about the Scottish voting system in which I used a lot of animated graphs. I was quite pleased with the way the numbers above the bars changed along with the height, and also how they also followed the height of the bar, and I thought it might be useful to DaVinci Resolve users if I made a short video explaining how I achieved this. This technique will involve using Fusion and also some expressions. Now, some new users are a bit shy of using these because they think they're difficult, but I've only been using Resolve for just over a year, and I'm a doddery old cunt, so if I can get my head round it, so can you. Okay, let's get started. Open up a new DaVinci Resolve project and double check that your settings are as they should be by checking the bottom right cog. Load a preset if necessary and hit the escape key to leave the project settings page. When you're done, go to the Edit tab and click Effects. Find Fusion Composition near the top of the list and drag it to the timeline. Next, click the Fusion tab. Drag in a new background node from the far left of the toolbar and attach it to the output node. Open the background node in the inspector. If it's not visible, then just go up to where it says Inspector at the top right of your screen and give it a click. Reduce the alpha channel to 0 to make it transparent. Hit F2 to rename the background node to anything that reminds you what it's for. We're going to make our first bar now, and to do this we can simply highlight the background node, then click on the new background node icon, which will give us our new node and a merge node that will automatically put the transparent background into the background. If you want to check what any particular node looks like, then select it and hit 1 to display its contents in the first monitor. Highlight this new background node and change its colour in the inspector. You can either use the sliders, enter RGB values, or left click and hold the eyedropper to choose a colour from anything that's displayed on either of your two output monitors. A good trick to know is that if you click on the colour swatch, it opens up a window that gives you lots of different colour choosing options, including my favourite one, which is to click on the Pick Screen Colour, which lets you pick a colour from any image displayed on your current desktop, even across multiple displays. If you like, you can add the new colour to the palette of custom colours, and you can then quickly find it and reuse it whenever you need to. I'm going to choose this custom green colour and click OK, and I'm going to hit F2 to rename the node to green. So now we have a green screen, and we're going to make it a bar by masking it off, and to do this we make sure that the green node that we just made is still highlighted and click the rectangle node tool in the middle of the toolbar. This creates a mask which we can now resize in the inspector. Make sure the rectangle node is highlighted, and in the inspector change the width to 0.05, which gives us our bar shape. We need to change our height to 1, but if you click and hold your cursor on the slider next to height and give it a wiggle, you'll see that the height of the bar changes from its centre, which isn't what we want in this case, so we're going to fix this now. Change the height to 1 and highlight the node called green. Click on the Add Transform node in the toolbar just to the left of the Add Rectangle node you used earlier. The new Transform node is already highlighted, so hit F2 to rename it to Green Bar Height. Don't use spaces, and remember to capitalise the first letter of each word. This will be very important when we come to the expressions in a minute. Go to the inspector and have a play with the size parameter. Reset this to 1 and play with the angle wheel. You'll see that every transformation still happens around the centre, so we're going to fix that now. Reset the angle to 0 by clicking on the little dot under the wheel, and then go up to where it says Pivot and have a play with the Pivot Y parameter by clicking on the number and holding down the mouse button as you drag the mouse left and right. You'll see the thin green pivot marker move around in your output monitor. Set Pivot Y to 0 to place it at the bottom of the screen. Have a play with the size again, and you'll see that the transformation is now taking place from the right position, but it still doesn't look quite right. So to fix this, untick the box that says Use Size and Aspect, which changes size and aspect to X size and Y size. The Y size is what we want to change, and you can see that our bar now moves up and down as it should. For now, let's just make the Y size 0.5. While we're still in the bar height node, head up to the top right of the page and pin the node properties to the inspector to keep them available because we're going to need them in a moment. With green bar height still selected, click on the Add New Text mode, which is the T-shaped icon third from the left on the toolbar. This creates a new text mode and automatically adds a merge node so that the text can be laid over the colour bar that we just made. I'm going to select the text node and hit F2 to rename it to green votes, since in my original graphs I was counting votes in an election. So, with your new text box selected, go to the inspector and you'll see the big blank box where you would normally enter your text. Not this time though, because we want the text to dynamically change along with the height of the bar, and to do this we need to use a simple expression. Right click in the text window, go all the way down to the bottom of the pop-up and choose expression. We want the text to link to whatever we enter in the green bar height Y size, and we can do this in a couple of ways. The first way is to simply go to the expression box and type in green bar height, remembering to use the capitals like I said earlier, then a dot, then Y size. This works, but the other way I think is simpler if, like me, you're not terribly familiar with expressions. What to do is to go to the plus symbol next to the expressions box, left click and hold, and remember I said to pin the green bar height attributes to the inspector? Well, it's still down there somewhere, so still holding down the left mouse button, drag the cursor and the line that follows it down the inspector, which will automatically scroll until you reach the green bar height window and the Y size parameter. Release the mouse button and the linking expression will appear in the box. I'm going to change the font and font size to something I prefer. Because I was originally counting votes, I'm going to change the number to something more suitable by adding to the expression. So I'm going to multiply the green bar height size to get to a more realistic figure. Which means I multiply it by 100,000 to bring the number up to 50,000. And in order to make it clear what I'm counting, I'm going to add the word votes underneath the number. To do that, I'll select the expression and add a space, 2 dots, then another space. This indicates that I want to append something to the expression, and that something is text. So I'll need to open quotation marks and enter my text, V-O-T-E-S, and then close the quotation marks and hit return. This has added the text, but I want it underneath the number, so I need to add a carriage return by typing \n immediately before my text. And that's it, perfect. Just make sure it's a backslash and not a forward slash. Now we have the numbers changing, but I want the position of the text to change in relation to the height of the bar, so let's fix that. With the green votes node highlighted, click on the new transform node tool. In the inspector, we're going to right click center and add an expression just like we did earlier. You'll see an expression that says point, open parentheses, 0.5, comma, 0.5, close parentheses. This represents the current X and Y coordinates for our text. We only want to change the Y coordinates, so what we do is we highlight the second 0.5 only, then we go to the plus button, and just like we did before, we'll drag the cursor and the line that follows it. You should still have the green bar height node pinned to the inspector, so we'll head down to Y size, release the mouse button, and that gives us our fixed X and variable Y coordinates. If you play with the green bar height Y size, you'll see that the text now sticks to the top of the bar. To make it a little neater, go to the end of the expression immediately before the closing parentheses and add in an offset to lift the text just above the bar. In my case, it's plus 0.06. I'm also going to highlight the green votes text node and change the text colour to match the bar. Right, that's the first bar completed. Now to add a simple animation. Select the green bar height node again. Go to frame 25 and add a keyframe to the green bar height Y size by clicking on the diamond next to it, turning it red. Go to frame 75, change the Y size to whatever you want, and a new keyframe is automatically added. And there's your animation. If you want to make it slightly more sophisticated, then open the spline tools from the top of the page. Tick to select green bar height and Y size, and click on the outward pointing diagonal arrows to zoom in. Click and drag to select both keyframes, or alternatively Ctrl A will select them, and then hit F to add a smooth curve, so you get an acceleration and deceleration to your animation. Now, while this makes your animation smoother, it also adds decimals, which we might not want, so let's fix that. Click Spline to close that window and then highlight your green votes node. In the expressions box, add floor, F-L-O-O-R, with a small f to the beginning of the expression, and enclose the rest of the expression before you reach the space and 2 dots in parentheses. This adds a mathematical function to the expression which rounds down the decimals. If you prefer them rounded up for any reason, then you can use CEIL for ceiling instead. If you need to rescale your nodes to fit more of them on the screen at this point, then simply right-click and select whatever looks good for you. You can also use the Arrange tools and line up all tools to grid functions if you feel the need to tidy up your nodes. And you can unpin green bar height from the inspector if you want. I'm just going to rearrange some of these nodes to make the next step easier to see. Okay, so now we're going to make another bar by duplicating the first one. So to do that, select all 6 nodes before merge 1, copy and click where you want them to go and paste. Take the output of merge 2_1 and link it to the output of merge 1 to create a new merge node. We're going to make a yellow bar now, so in the second group of nodes that you've just created, rename green_1 to yell, green bar height _1 to yell bar height, and green votes _1 to yell votes. We want to move our first bar to the left a bit, so select rectangle 1, the very first one, and change center X to 0.4. And we want to move its corresponding text as well, so select transform 1, change the first value in expression to 0.4 also. Change the colour in the yell mode, and do the same in the yell votes node. Now, if you've done everything exactly as I said, you can check the yell votes node and the transform node next to it, and you'll find that the expressions have automatically updated, so the yellow text will link to the yellow bar height. Check this out by selecting yell bar height, go to keyframe 25 and enter a new value for the Y size, and do the same at keyframe 75. Okay, so let's do one final bar. Select the 6 nodes before merge 3, copy and paste them as before, and link the output of merge 2_1_1 to the output of merge 3, which will create a new merge node 4. We'll make a red bar now, so rename the newly made yell_1 node to red. Yell bar height _1 to red bar height, and yell votes _1 to red votes. Move this bar to the right by selecting red's mask rectangle 1_1_1 and changing center X to 0.6. And of course move the text as well by selecting its transform node and changing the first value in the expression to 0.6. Now I'm going to change the colour of the bar and the text by selecting the red node and changing the colour, and doing the same with the red votes node. And now for the final part of the animation, select red bar height, frame 25, enter a new value, frame 75, enter a new value. Finally, if you want to have one of these ready as a template, then go back into the Fusion tab, select File, Export, Fusion Composition, and save it somewhere where you'll easily find it again. Then, the next time you're in a new project, you can simply drag a Fusion composition into the timeline, enter Fusion and go to File, Import Fusion Composition to load it up, ready to go. That's it. If this has been helpful to you, then please like the video, subscribe to this channel, and hopefully I'll be able to do more of these in the future. Cheers!